Guys, how's it going? Welcome back and welcome to our review on the Apple Ipod 4th generation. I picked this thing up used off of a buddy of mine, and yes, as you can probably see, it has a nice little crack in the screen. It was there when I got it. But I did put a what's called a Shields scratch-proof kit in it, and it's just a covering that you'd normally find like on a brand new device, except this one is like really super adhesive, sticky on the back side. So it's going to actually add a lot of durability to the screen, even though it's cracked. And it's flexible enough that I didn't have to cut out the slot for the button either, which is really cool. And it covered nice, that didn't interfere with the camera. Still got a couple bubbles to work out of it, but yeah, it'll take a little bit. It's, you know, it's a pain in the neck to work the bubbles through, but at least it's not in any kind of a critical spot, and you know, whether they're there or not, it doesn't interfere with anything on the thing. Little different way of doing the review. 2.5 out of 5 sound good? Probably not to some of you, but that's the reality of it. This thing has some drawbacks. Number one, it ain't perfect. Number two, I really do not like the fact that they want so much of my private information just so I can put my own MP3 files on. I'm not downloading MP3s, you know, but that's all part of Apple stuff now, and you know, but whatever. So anyways, it's all set up. At least I got my own info on here now, so I deleted all his stuff. He had quite a lot of music though, but I never got it off, so I was like, well, whatever. And so I got my own stuff. I'm not using this really as an MP3 player, but at least my MP3s are on it, which actually helps keep them backed up in case something happens to my Android phone or my computer. I've got all my MP3 collection on whatever device I got in the house. So anyways, it's got a weather program, you know, for your weather, a little photo thing for, I guess, where your photos are stored. Camera is a 0.7 megapixel, and it does have 8 gigs of RAM in this thing, which is kind of nice. This is the back facing camera. It's actually a pretty good picture for the low megapixel range. Darn it, there we go. Front facing camera. I don't know how well you're going to see that, but that's actually an airplane that's hanging above me. So it's actually pretty decent, you know. Disappointment, no flash and no steady light. Options menu doesn't really offer you much. Grid, whoopee ding. Okay. All the technology they put in this, and they weaned out and didn't even put in a lighting system for the camera or even a flash. Like, come on, you know. A lot of people want to take indoor pictures. Guess what? Unless you get really good lighting, they're gonna suck. So yeah, that's a bit of a downer there. But for outdoor use, works awesome. Okay. Let's get out of here. It has your app store, a world clock, which you can edit and set up any way you want. Part of this too is an alarm thing, stopwatch, which is actually kind of nice. And of course you've got a timer. So if you don't have a timer and you're trying to cook French fries or something in the oven, well, hey, there's your timer. So that's kind of cool. You got a games center. I haven't been into there yet. Passbook, have no idea what that's about yet. FaceTime, from what he told me, it's kind of like a messaging system between you and somebody else with an Apple device that can run FaceTime. Well, this has it. This has wireless. It also has Bluetooth, and it surprised me it actually had Bluetooth. I was like, wow, you know, I mean, for a glorified MP3 player, this thing actually isn't too bad, you know, even though it's got a few downers. It has a messaging program, which I haven't bothered to set up. It has email, Safari browser. I actually have one website in here right now, which I'm kind of playing a little bit with this thing just to see what it's like, and it's okay. Safari surfs fast, which is nice. Your settings menu, very easy to get to. Very straightforward on all your settings. Wi-Fi, you know, your Bluetooth on, off, you know, airplane mode, do not disturb, notifications, general sounds, brightness, wallpapers, privacy, iCloud, which I have no use for, but I have used it once on my PC because I had no other alternative. And of course all the rest of your settings in here too. So, you know, very simple, easy to use. One thing that is nice about Apple stuff is it doesn't take any kind of intelligence to run an Apple device of any kind, which is, you know, great for people that are just new into these devices. Too simple. But Android is also very simple too, right? You know, so running a Macintosh operating system, on the other hand, is not too bad. It's still user-friendly, but if something goes wrong, you now need to be a rocket scientist, where years ago you didn't have to. But anyways, doesn't come with a lot of apps. Very disappointing there. You get more apps on an Android device. So you get whatever's on the front screen, plus 2 others. And of course, I downloaded one program from the App Store. And I thought, okay, I'll try out a game and see what it's like. They got other free programs too. I'm gonna eventually, you know, sit here and go LOL and surf the mighty App Store for Apple and see what kind of programs they actually really do have up there that are all freebies, because I'm not into paying for this stuff. I'd rather have it for free if I can get it. Video area, you know, general stuff. Maps. The maps I found was interesting. I'll give it that. I actually tried to see if I could just punch in my dad's address and see if it would come up, and couldn't even find it. I thought, wow, that's real good. Not. But I don't care. It's for what I'm using this for. You know, it's more for doing some RC videos, doing some snapshots, you know, that sort of thing. I might, you know, do a few other things, you know, with it. And it's a nice little change from Android, and I've wanted to play on one of these iPods, but I didn't want to spend the money because they are really expensive for even what you're getting, you know. And when it comes to servicing an Apple device, I mean, if my battery ever pooches in this thing, you might as well throw it in the garbage, because for the cost of the battery, sending it out to be done, you know, is going to be really super expensive. You might as well throw it out and buy a new one. It saves some money. I've never been a fan of the whole MP3 players from Apple since we got burnt on my wife's iShuffle that I bought her. And it didn't even last a full year. And that was like $50 some, you know. And you can still buy them. Apple's still making them. And it's like, why bother? I mean, they're useless. She did not get a lot of use out of hers, and it just wouldn't take a charge anymore. And of course, by the time it screwed up, it was just off the warranty by like a couple of days or something. And Apple does not want to do anything other than say, well, send it in and we'll put a new battery in it. And what's that going to cost me? Let me see. Shipping charges, battery, labor. I could buy 10 of these things. No, thank you. I will throw it in the garbage and, you know, maybe take a hammer to it perhaps, just because. So that really turned me off, because that's Apple's warranty service, and their labor rates have just gone astronomical. And, you know, I've been an Apple technician myself. I was certified Apple tech years ago. And yeah, even I had a hard time with the fact that, you know, the labor rates were so high. And at least being self-employed, I was able to help people save a lot of money. You know, so I didn't have to answer to anybody as far as what I charged. But yeah, it's not cool. And cars are getting to be the same point now too. It's overpriced for labor, I find. But all in all, I guess this machine, it's not bad, you know. What really ticks me off is the entire planet has now become iFreaks, okay? Every device, like we used to call them ghetto blasters. Okay, I'm not that old, okay, but I feel like it because technology moves so damn quick now. You'd have a tape cassette player and a CD player. Then we went to straight CD players. And then now we're MP3s, right? Everybody's into the MP3 generation, right? And, you know, so CDs are extinct, really. Even DVDs are now pretty much extinct. Everybody wants Netflix and stuff. But the whole thing of the MP3s is the manufacturers making these little ghetto blasters that now just use one of these inside. A lot of them are not having dual access for the Android users. and so it's become a real eye freakish world, and that really pisses me off. That shouldn't be allowed. People have a choice and a will in this life, and they should have a right as well to either use an Android device or an Apple device on one of these cool little rigs. And but now it's becoming more friendly since you've got Bluetooth now in all these devices, so now it's not so bad. As long as you buy a device that has Bluetooth access, you don't need to have an Apple device, which is good. But yeah, it's too much of I this, I that, and it's a lot of hype, really. I found myself, I bought a tablet, and I've got a 10-inch tablet from Dell, and to buy the same equivalent in power, performance, and everything else in the Apple side was going to cost me like over 2 to 3 times as much money. And and I'm still used to, I can use Windows, I can use Mac, it doesn't matter. It's the budget and the price. And Apple doesn't have a nice payment plan or even a decent warranty system. So I stick with PCs on that one. I stick with Dell because they have the best warranty in the business worldwide as far as I'm concerned. Anyways, so we're at a 2.5 out of 5 on this thing. I think it's more than fair. Okay, it is nice, it's thin, it's small, it's got a lot of programs with it, it's easy to use, but hey, come on. A, it's not perfect. B, it's expensive if you got to replace that battery, which is going to really suck bad. Also, no flash, not even a lighting system for when you're doing videos. Like even my Android phone, I have a flash or I have a lighting system. No problem. This, nope. So you're solely dependent on light, period. So forget doing night videos if you're an RC fanatic, unless you have some way to really light things up nice and bright, or you're going to get a crappy picture, if anything at all, really. So the camera is only good basically in good lighting areas and outdoors. That's it. So whatever. But lack of software with it, that's another downer too. They don't pack a lot. You think for what they charge for these things, they pack them with a lot of software, but they don't. Like, come on, one screen of this, and then 2 other programs, that's it? I downloaded this one. And half of this stuff I'm not even going to use. I don't use notepads, I don't care about the newsstand, I don't really care about the weather. This weather program is not even half as accurate as my computer website that I go on. Maps is totally useless to me. FaceTime, useless unless you have another person with an Apple device, right? So that's kind of stupid. The App Store, well, that's App Store is for Apple, so that's actually good. At least you know what you're downloading. Passbook, I have no idea what it's for, but I mean, it's way too basic of a setup, but otherwise, I mean, for what I'm going to use it for, it's going to work, and it gives me a bit of an experience with an Apple product myself for this newer style of iPod. Like I said, my wife had a little iShuffle, and that thing is like just nothing but, a little teeny weeny thing with some buttons, you know what I mean? You don't even know what song you're on, At least with this, I fire up the music, and, my MP3s are in here, and I can go through and pick and choose from whatever I want for all my songs that are in here. So that works for me. That's simple. But yeah, other than that, it should be about maybe half the price, or maybe even a little bit less of what they actually charged for this thing. And I would probably say the same thing about all the newer generation models. They're way, way overpriced. They should be like slashed like 50% at least. I haven't seen any of the newer gen models as far as being able to play with them and seeing if they actually did finally put a flash in them, and I really could care less. But that's because we're talking about the 4th generation here today. We're not talking about the newer ones. But for me, I'm going to use this just the odd time to mess around with MP3s, and I'm going to use the camera in it, and probably the rest of it's just going to go to a total waste, other than I might try the odd video game, see what they're like. But I'm not one of these people that sits here and does this all day either. It is set up to be everything except a telephone, realistically. I mean, all that's missing is a SIM card and, you know, a dial pad, really, you know. Yeah, I guess it's not too bad. I didn't get a charge cable with it. He didn't have one, which was fine. I guess he lost it or it broke or something, but whatever. I didn't care, and I told him it was fine. And I was looking around for charge cables. That's another downer. If you are going to stick with Apple compatible or an Apple specific, you're going to pay between $15 to $30 for a charge cable for this thing, and that is utterly obscene. They don't last long as it is, you know. So I thought, well, what do I do? So I went to the dollar store because I figured, well, the dollar store, I've seen them have, you know, iPod and iPhone stuff, and I thought, maybe they got a charge cable. So I had a couple choices, and the one choice I ended up picking out cost me $3. And the thing is like 10 feet long. I'll go grab it here. This thing is ridiculous for the amount of length that you get for $3, you know, and of course USB on the one end. It plugs in just fine. What is nice is it can only plug in one way. It will not allow you to plug it in the wrong way. You know, so you plug this thing in, pop it into, you know, a USB charger or your computer, whichever you're going to do it with, and away you go. And I got like 10 feet of this, you know. And this is not going to break down very easy. It's not, for a cheap cable, it's actually made really strong compared to even the Apple one. You know, it's ridiculous, you know, $3. So I'm good to rock and roll. You know, and if something does happen, hey, it's $3. I'll go buy another one for $3. You know, battery life. I don't know how much use he actually had on this thing. I'm pretty sure quite a bit. And the battery is still actually doing really well. I've actually been running this even in just standby for a couple of days now, and the battery really hasn't dropped much at all. So that's actually a good sign. So at least I got a good battery still in it. But yeah, that's pretty much about where we're at with this little guy. So take it for what it's worth. It's information for you. It's my opinion, how I think and feel about it. I'm not an anti-Apple person, okay? So when I make a judgment on any product, I feel that in my opinion it is a fair and honest judgment. And you know, and it is my opinion, you know, and you can take it for what it's worth. You know, decide for yourself. I mean, I'm gonna keep it, I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna, you know, learn it, and who knows, maybe I might get attached, you know, down the road, and I might want a better one. But I certainly would never pay retail. I'd wait until they're on sale and at a good price. But otherwise, I mean, for what I use this for, I can't really justify that kind of money outgoing. So you have to be a person that is going to make full use of one of these things before spending out that kind of money on an iPod like this or one of the newer models. You know, you have to really be making use out of it, because, I mean, if you're not, then you're just wasting your money. Like my smartphone does just as much as this. In fact, it does way more, you know, and so I kind of look at it from that point too, you know. Otherwise, yeah, I guess it's not too bad, but it still doesn't deserve very high marks, that's for sure. And I'm not picking on it because it has a cracked screen, because I don't care, you know. I'm picking on it for what it is. It's lacking certain things that should be there. You know, I don't care about the camera. The camera is beautiful as long as you have the right lighting. But with no flash, any camera is useless. Even the camcorder that I use to record most of my videos on, in fact over 97% of them, which I'm using right now, it's a camcorder. but it has no flash for still shots. It has no external lighting on my camera. I didn't go out and spend $1,000 on a camera, okay? I found it totally pointless, you know. But the next camera I buy, I'm hoping to get something that has some sort of a lighting system, okay? Just because I want that now, you know, I want the advancement, right? But it's also budget too, you know. The camera I'm using right now to record my videos cost me $300 plus the extended warranty and all that jazz, and I got it on sale. You know, nowadays you can get like 5 times the camera for the same money, you know, and this is only within like, what, 2 years, you know. Technology moves too quick, right? So yeah, so I usually try and wait for sales to hit myself. And this would be something, even in a newer generation model, because I realize this is 4th generation, but even in the new generations that are out for the iPod, I would honestly wait until they go on sale, and that you're actually going to be buying something that you're going to use the full usage of it, or at least most of it, to make it worth your while, okay? You know, otherwise I'd probably, you know, just go buy a, you know, $15 MP3 player if all you're going to do is listen to MP3s, you know, and because otherwise it's a useless device if you're not going to use it for other things. So anyway, that's it. That's all. That wraps it up. Thanks for watching, and you know, sorry the video took so long, but you know, it is the review, and that's the way my reviews go. They're detailed and they have length to them. So take care, and happy YouTubing.